very tense situation that I think is causing a lot of us anxiety, worrying about our health, our loved ones, whether we can get toilet paper. Oh my goodness, what a crisis. So what we're going to do here is work through our creative side and hopefully have a pleasant time, put our cares and worries to one side. And what I'm planning to do today is to work with you with your supplies. Hopefully you have them now ready to start, whatever you've chosen. Any media will work. It'd help if you had a little facility with it, but if you don't, that's perfectly okay. Children, do the best you can. Amateurs, learn. People who are experienced, just have some fun doing something creative. So here it is, spring, and outside our crocuses are blooming. I have to say the rabbits and the chipmunks have been pretty hard on my crocuses, but I did manage to find a couple. Here is one that I rescued this evening around 4 o'clock. It's closed up a little bit. We can see not open as much as it might be, but it gives us an example to work from. And then I thought, to give us some more ideas about what crocuses look like, I went online and found this beautiful photograph of crocuses, and happily they're the same color as my crocus, so we'll be working with both this image and the real crocus to see what we're going to do. Now I'm going to try to go slowly enough so that you can actually work with me. Sort of like baking a cake, all right? We're gonna get the recipe, and we're gonna follow the directions, and it's going to be pretty much step by step, and hopefully with enough explanation that you'll be able to follow. Now, my plan here is to demonstrate with a variety of materials. I love crayons. They were my foundation media when I was a child. I love coloring books and crayons. And I'm going to try to show you a new way to use crayons. Colored pencils, I've done a lot of artwork in colored pencils, done some of my husband's book covers with colored pencils. It's another wonderful media, so we'll be experimenting with that. Also, watercolor is a pretty standard media. Here are my watercolors that I've used over the years, my palette. I'm not going to get into oils, but you can use oils if you want, or acrylics, or pastel. I think if I work with 3 media here, that will probably be sufficient. So the first thing to do in trying to do artwork is, at least where you're doing realistic images, and even when you're working abstractly, you're trying to get the essence of a subject, the first thing to do is what I would call observation. It's basically, you've got to look at it. You have to examine it. You have to be familiar with what you're trying to draw. So let's take a look at this crocus, and I see it's kind of dripping on the table. I'm not terribly happy with that, but you know what? I'll keep it in this jar. Isn't this an adorable little jar? This is from my grandmother, probably dates to about 1880, and it was a toothpick holder, because polite people were allowed to pick their teeth in public, which is kind of now fairly gross. But anyway, that's where you kept the toothpicks. So when we get this crocus out of the water to look at it, sometimes I like to count the petals and see how many petals there actually are in the blossom. So I see 3 on the outside, and then I see 3 more clustered inside, and inside of that there is a beautiful little orange. This is the part of the bloom. The petals protect the parts of the flower, but here it is. It's orange, like little orange. And there are 3 of them again, so 3 outer petals, 3 inner petals, and 3 parts that will have the nectar and the pollen, and will be the reproductive part of the crocus. And they, to my mind, I wish I could focus down on here, but that's a little hard to do. They look like little upside down brushes, like dust whisks. So get my crocus coming back together again. And I think you're familiar, interesting, three leaves. Isn't that interesting? So this comes in threes. A lot of our flowers comes in petals of 3 or 6. I don't know of any that are asymmetrical. That would be like 1, 5, 7. They always seem to have a symmetry about them, which I think is a beautiful part of most flowers. And you can always tell crocus flowers because there's a white line down the middle. That's very distinctive for crocus. So we've analyzed what we're doing here, and I'm going to start with the simplest tool of all, which is a pencil. It's a very simple tool. I'm just going to put this over that white paper here. So we're about ready to see if we can draw our crocus. There are a couple of simple tools that we need, media. We're going to use one of my old favorites, and these are Crayola crayons. I was brought up with coloring books. That's what we had during, can you believe it, World War II and beyond. And I absolutely love those beautiful pictures, so beautifully drawn by expert artists. Not silly little cartoons like they have today, but really very beautifully formed, in-depth scenes. And the best one was a ballet a crayon book. So here are crayons. I'm going to try to show you, particularly the young people and the teenagers, a different way to use crayons that may be more helpful. All you need is a simple pad of paper. It's best if it's not too rough and if it's not too shiny. This is really perfect paper. It's very cheap, very easy to work with. Now, another thing you need is just a regular pencil. This is a regular number 2, nothing fancy. I don't like you to use an eraser if you could possibly manage it. So we're going to draw the crocus, and this is the image that we're working from. Now, the crocus that I was working for previously unfortunately has faded away and died, so we're going to use this image. I'm going to try to draw it upside down just for the fun of it. So here we go. We're going to take just this one flower. That's all we're going to work on here. We're coming up. We're going to draw first, starting from the front, the one petal. That's this petal. Now we're going to take these 2 interior petals. You'll notice they start here. They start right there, coming up, all right? And then it comes swooping around like a spoon shape, right? Now we're going to draw that internal line. That's that part there. Now on this one, this petal here, we don't see any inside shape. We just see sort of a triangle. So it starts here, comes up, there's the triangle, and it ends over there. Now, the next, we're going to do the 2 outside petals. 2 big spoons. Here's a spoon, coming up, great big spoon. We're going to stop because this petal, in fact, you know what we should do? We should draw this petal first. So we're going to come up here, it's a big spoon, and it ends over there. That's better. Now, there's a little bit of an edge here, tiny little bit of an edge. Now we're going to draw the other side, sort of a nice gentle curve coming up, just about as high as this one, right? Just about as high, coming back down, and then this side of the petal kind of comes up like that. So there's our basic crocus shape. Let's see how fast, just for the fun of it. I'm just going to draw rapidly without too much explanation. The other 2, there's this side, and there's that little fuzzy brush shape. And this one comes over here, swoops up, comes down like that. This one swoops way out, and then has an edge that we can see. This one comes over here, back, down, and around. And then the big final scoop up at the top. So it's going so fast. Let's do the other one. We're going to start with this petal. Here, I'll put it right alongside so you can see what's going on. We're going to start with this petal, right? So it's like a heart, goes down, there's the heart shape. Now the 2 internal petals come up little triangles. There's a triangle, there's a fuzzy wuzzy inside part, another triangle, and this one doubles back on itself. Now we're going to do that big background, back. This one overlaps here. Now the final one comes. We're going to exaggerate. There's no problem with being more dramatic. And this petal disappears behind this one. So that we draw like that and like that. And the stem comes down like that. All right, so there we are. I actually got bigger as we went along. That's kind of fun. They got, instead of being 1, 2, 3 there, 1, 2, 3, but no problem. All right, a few speary leaves here, just for the sake of fun of it. A few leaves coming up. They're spears. All right. Okay, so now let's get into the crayons. How are we going to use the crayons? First, we're going to look for the colors that we need. And I'm going to choose this one, which is a pale pink, for the highlight. Okay, that's going to be that. Then we're looking for some of the violets. There's a violet. This is called royal purple. And here's another one called blue violet. Let's be bold about it. Let's get another pink out over here. This is another one that I think, oh, here, this one's going to be useful. All right. Okay, coming out here. This is a plum, wonderful color. And how about this pink in here? Looks like it would be really pretty fun to use. Yes, lavender it's called. So we've got our colors picked out here. Now, you notice I didn't do any erasing. Yes, these were bigger on this side than the other. Just don't worry about it. What's important is what is down here. This is just an idea. They do not have to match. So we're not going to get excessively excited about they don't form a perfect match. If they did, you would just have the photograph. You wouldn't bother to need to do any artwork about it. Why bother? So we're not going to do that. Now, this new way of using crayons, or you may know it already, but maybe not. I'm going to press down very hard with the crayons. So first I'm going to start light. You can hardly see it, even here, where I'm actually doing it. It does not show up very much, but that's all right. We're going to put our highlight in. I'm pressing down very hard and not worrying about breaking the crayon. Now, if I were doing this for a professional reason, I have to tell you, I would not have bared down so hard with a pencil because this is going to show up pretty strongly. But because this is being videotaped, I want you to be able to see what I'm actually producing here. So that's why I'm bearing down. And all I'm doing now is putting in the highlights wherever I think I want to highlight. And a highlight is this light area where there is high light, a lot of light, and it usually looks like it is white. So, but we don't want white, we want a little bit of color. So highlight here, here, over here, a little bit around over here. You notice I'm not worrying too much about staying inside the lines. That's not terribly important. All right, let's see what this one does for us. No, that doesn't do anything. We're not going to worry about that. Okay, now we're heading to, we actually need a pink. So now we're going darker. This is called orchid. So our next color, notice there's no pink over here. Don't care. That is irrelevant. We're just going to work on the colors that seem to make the most sense. Okay, now I'm going close to my highlights. All right, very close, but moving down. So I'm blending this next color with the first highlight color all the way around. You notice I'm not finishing one crocus and then starting the next crocus? It works much better if you do all the flowers at once, because you want them all to look like they're belonging in the same category. And you can get so involved in doing one little one over here that you never get over to these. All right, the next color we're going to use, I think, and I hope you're having fun, this is supposed to be fun, we're going to go for the plum. Now the plum is sort of a shocking contrast here, so I'm not going to bear down quite as heavily with the plum, and I'll show you how we're going to blend that later. Okay, so now I'm not pressing down quite as hard as I did. And I think this box of crayons, it's not a complete box. And I think we're missing some colors in here that might be pretty useful. Intermediary pinks and violets and so on. So we're just working with what we have. If you don't have all the colors in your box, don't worry about it. Use what you've got. You know, whatever you have in there, as long as it's some kind of, you know, good color. Okay, here we come. Coming around here, just adding the next layer. All right, and we pretty much, I think, hit almost all the areas. Yes, I think everybody with that color. Every petal has some of this on it. Okay, now we're going to head off to, this one is called, what is this? Blue violet, okay. Oh, that's fun. Okay, now we're coming in with the blue violet, and I hope you notice that I'm coloring with the shape, the actual shape. We're going to put some blue violet in here too, inside, dark blue violet. The actual shape of the flower, I'm not just merely filling in. See here, this is a curve. See that curve? I'm curving around. There's a curve in here. We're curving with the crayon. Curve, curve. All right? Not pressing quite as heavily as I did before, but following those curves. Curve here a little bit. All right? More curve here. And down. Over here. Here. All right. Still continuing to fill in here. All right. All right, now we have some color pretty much everywhere. Whoops, wait a minute, we forgot a petal over here. Oh my goodness. This petal got totally forgotten. Completely left out. Not a problem. No problems in art, just fun. No, not gonna get worried. Let's go for the stem here, the stem here, and the stem here. Okay, so we're making progress. Now we're gonna switch over to another color. Let's see what this one looks like. Oh, this is fun. All right, this is back to our kind of more pink color. So we're gonna put that on top, blending in here a little bit. More blending. Okay, now we've pretty much got some color everywhere. No forgotten petals, that's good. Okay, now the next step, don't have any problem peeling down the paper, and for goodness sakes, don't worry if you break a crayon. All right, the next step is go back to one of those lighter colors and go, now we're really pressing down with this light color, right over the top of those darker colors. Press very, very hard now. You've got to really come in here. And now I'm not worrying about the lines at all. I'm just coming in, bearing down as hard as I can over everything. The pink, the violets, round and round, press down hard, hard, hard. Okay. And we've got that. Now the last step, I wish we had an intermediary color, but we don't. Now you can come in with one of the darks again, all right, and really emphasize the inside parts of the petal. I'm pressing down kind of, about 50% pressure, not too hard, And I'm trying to do the inside of the petals, not where our highlights were. Down, vigorous on the stem. Hard in here. Okay, this should be a dark area here. This is inside. Down in the interior, dark. Excuse me. Okay, now back with the red. Maybe more over the So I'm beginning to press down, continuing to press down hard. All right, and back again to our pink. One more time. Really, really, really laying into the pink here. And that pink light color over the top is blending those dark colors together underneath. You see how they're getting more and more blended? All right, I think we're going to end this session here. Maybe just one more. Wow, let's just go for it. One more, really pressing down. See how much stronger the color is going. You could continue to do this, just keep building and building and building with these crayons, layering one on top of another. And as I said, it really helps to have somewhat smooth paper so that these colors will blend better. So you could continue to do this, and then you would also bring in your greens, which I'm not going to bother to do using the same technique. So let's get some green leaves in here. Pretend these are green leaves. We're not going to get excited about this. Green leaves. Okay. More green leaves over here. Let's be really vigorous with our leaves. They don't look like crocus leaves anymore, but let's not care. All right, and maybe even more green in here. More green outline. Green, green. And you could do the same thing with the green. You could play around with this green, you know, and add yellows and all kinds of wonderful things. Okay, so there's our crocus with crayon. Whoops, let's at least fill in here. Yes. Oh, gotta fill that in just a little bit more. Okay. Can't quit without giving more definition to the petal edge. Okay, I think that's it. So, as I say, you'd have a lot more fun pressing in here with different colors on the green, the same way we did with the purple. But I think that's enough for this morning. So there we go. There's our crocus with crayon. Okay, thank you for watching.